Greetings shippers, welcome back, and it's time to discuss another moment in fandom history. A moment that for some has never lost its sting. For others, they view it as a humorous moment, and others still have never heard of it. We're going to be talking about the San Diego Comic-Con incident, Book 4, Air. We're gonna go back in time to look at the Zutara moment. This video was voted for by the lovely folks over on Patreon who help keep us on track, and they also oftentimes vote for things that would otherwise have a bit of a long road to getting their turn in the spotlight. And you know how long things take here, so it's really great. At the time of this recording, adjacent shipping and OOQ are very much neck and neck, so if you want to go change that, the link is down below. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please do follow on social media to stay up to date, know when we're streaming, and just come on over and chit chat about fandom. It is a good time, I swear. And now, let's talk about Book 4, Air. We've already done a video discussing Zutara and the ins and outs of that ship, so if you missed that, check it out, because this is going to focus pretty exclusively on this one incident, which was not included in that vid because, as you shall see, it's worth a full vid all its own. Firstly, some groundwork. The incident we are about to discuss took place in 2008, hence it coincided with the end of the Avatar series, which had been quite successful across a myriad of circles, and also at the time, there were rumors that potentially there could be a Book 4, which will play into what happened. The series was a critical and commercial hit. It had been praised for its maturity and elevation of children's programming at the time, and had amassed a wide array of fans, including a large transformative fandom, in an era when fan zeal was not only beginning to spread, but was beginning to bleed more and more into real-world settings, as fans got more and more bold, and the channels of access continued to widen. Launching in 2005, Avatar was positioned firmly at the upswing of the digital fandom renaissance, and as a result, some of the enthusiasm for the show, its fandom theories, and ships, paralleled a rising enthusiasm for the online space as a mode of communication and leisure, an enthusiasm that would find itself being transferred also into the con space, which began to create new unique conversations and panels. The Avatar shipping contingent was loud, and it latched onto ships fairly early on, and fans were vocal about it. And indeed, the wars between certain ships were quite vicious, and some amount of this reached the series creators and writers, particularly in the form of sometimes overzealous or at times aggressive suggestions as to how the series should unfold, particularly shipwise. Now, this was by no means a new phenomenon, and still occurred even before digital access. However, the online realm made it easier, not only for fans to reach out to creators, but for creators to reach out and see the creation of fans, particularly creators who liked to at least quasi-involve themselves in the fandom space, as Avatar series creators Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, or Brike as they came to be known, were. As Avatar The Last Airbender had gone on, certain fans, particularly Zutara shippers, at the time known by many as Zutarians, had begun to feel as if the series creators didn't care for the couple, and may indeed be outright mocking them. A sentiment that crystallized after an episode of Season 3 or Book 3 Fire, specifically the 17th episode entitled The Ember Island Players, wherein Team Avatar goes to attend a play, wherein the writers have interpreted the relationship between Katara and Zuko as romantic. This is played as a farce, as the play is viewed to be exaggerated and inaccurate. The characters watching the play also react humorously, or in the case of Katara and Zuko, with discomfort. This made many Zutara shippers feel as if they were being mocked, as the message seemed quite pointed, namely, we think your interpretation is at best laughable, and at its worst, distressing. Other fans felt it was a joke, and meant to be playful, and that it was okay to take a light ribbing now and then. However, others countered, there's a big difference between someone laughing with you and someone laughing at you. Still more felt that since the episodes highlighted within the play as shippable moments were notorious episodes for Zutara fans, they felt that this episode was more than anything highlighting what had occurred once the series creators had taken on a more direct role in writing, as opposed to the rumored to be more amenable in terms of the aforementioned pairing head writer Aaron E. Haas. With all of that groundwork laid out, and more to return to, let us discuss the incident. At the 2008 San Diego Comic-Con and Avatar panel, a video created by series creators Brike was played. In it was presented a hypothetical Book 4, entitled Air. The presentation then mostly consisted of fan art of desired couples, particularly Zutara, in a mocking fashion. It is rarer to have footage of early Comic-Cons, but even at this time, some seem to realize how noteworthy this would be, although potentially not for the reasons they expected. So video has survived.
These 3 hours as lovers have been the most thrilling experience of my 113-year life. I would go back and kill the Fire Lord for you. I can't wait until we have lots and lots of babies, which may or may not include Airbender. Islanders, I'm a little fuzzy on how all that works. But I want you to teach me. Teach me, my love. You are my destiny.
I want to break up with you.
So forbidden. My honor is tarnished. I'll never regain my honor.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Fruit of the lychee nut.
I don't want him to take away my bending.
I carried a secret flame for you. All those long, cold, windy nights fleeing from your hot pursuit on the Baja.
Yeah, you told me that one already.
Me all that time and not the Avatar?
No, actually I was hunting the Avatar.
Do you want to make out some more?
Okay.
Women who think that Zuko and Katara should be together will forever have doomed relationships.
Yes, you watercress!
I just feel like we don't have anything in common. You never talk to me about your feelings, your hopes and dreams.
I'm feeling like I hope you shut up soon.
Some more?
Not really.
I'm so sorry, Anne. I never should have doubted the will of Mike and Brian.
Zula hurt me emotionally and physically.
As one can imagine, the reaction to this was polarizing and instantaneous, and fandom erupted. So let us go through some of the reactions at the time and at the time of this recording. Some fans were insulted and felt the entire play was mean-spirited and rude, and an unnecessary attack on what were essentially extra loyal fans. They particularly cited the use of the fan works as especially egregious, as those are meant to be celebrations of the source, and to see creators use them so glibly left a bad taste in many fans' mouths, even those who were not Zutara shippers. However, at the time, both non-shippers and Katang shippers briefly united in celebration, as some felt that the Zutarians had become an overwhelming force in fandom, and were glad to see them, as they deemed it, put in their place. For some Katang shippers, it gave them an extra sense of legitimacy, and lent credence to the false belief that Katang being canon meant that Zutara works would and should stop being created by fans. And the non-shippers rejoiced as they felt it was a foolish pastime that was ruining the show, and that shippers were losers, and clearly felt that this showcase indicated that the creators agreed with them. Another contingent thought it was funny, and meant as a joke, and an attempt to engage with the fandom, not mock them, that it was acknowledgement, and that to be acknowledged by the creative staff was a good thing. The audience at the 2008 panel certainly seemed to get a kick out of it. But what about now, at the time of this recording? Well, not all new fans know about this incident, and one does have to either be speaking to someone who knows of it, or be searching for it to find it. One can stumble upon it, but it is not the easiest thing to do, especially if one isn't a Zutara shipper. Nowadays, the tone of this encounter is read by most as, if not outright mean-spirited, then poorly thought out, for the storm it ignited in an already passionate fandom was not worth it in the eyes of many. And as more and more information about the series, the creators and writers, and their feelings on fan culture have surfaced, alongside the spread of more and more rumors, it has become harder and harder for a lot of fans to view this as something other than a pointed attack. It is also still used, particularly on Reddit, although the last instance I was able to uncover was in 2015, to bring this video up to mock shippers, identifying this moment as the ultimate troll by the series creators. There are still lingering vestiges of both anti-shipping and Katang vs Zutara, with some Katang members taking up residence on the notoriously anti-shipper Reddit. Though there are some exception Reddit threads that do enjoy shipping, they tend to be rare. However, some do use this space to have a place to mock their Zutarian Tumblr counterparts. The wounds for some are deep. However, for newer fans, it's a much calmer space, and a fun one, since there's so much to explore and so much pre-existing work for all pairings. So what new information has come to light? A lot of it has to do with some differing opinions held by the writing staff. The series creators always liked Katang, stating, "Sorry to disappoint the Zutara fans out there, but we never intended for Zuko and Katara to get together. Maybe we're just sentimental, but we always had a soft spot in our hearts for Katang. Zuko and Katara might have shared some sparks, but sometimes there are people along your journey of love who are there to teach you about yourself and what you really need, but don't necessarily end up being your partner. Come on, kids. Zutara never would have lasted. It was just dark and intriguing." However, this does not appear to have been the opinion of series head writer Aaron Ahaz. Or was it? There have been rumors swirling for years that there was intense butting of heads between the head writer and the series creators, that the original leaked show Bible had no references to any endgame ships. However, there isn't much proof for most of these statements. Even the allegedly leaked Bible, if it is accurate, is an extremely early draft. And pretty much the only statements that can be found are those from the series creators, so they are obviously Katang-centric. What is clear is that over the seasons, Bryke did join the writing staff and take on a more and more active role, particularly after the first book. It is also clear that the series evolved as they went, and that they allowed for that to happen. However, evolution in the animation sense takes place long before a series comes to air, which can make it a bit of a confusing timeline for certain fans, as they may assume that there is more time for changes to be made than there actually is. The Players episode indicates that the staff were aware of shipping. They had to be. They had already been asked about it multiple times at previous year's cons, and fanfiction and fan art were beginning to abound online, and both Ahaz and Bryke had referenced it. That episode also clearly indicates that someone on staff definitely had feelings pertaining specifically to Zutara, or at the very least, to Zutara fans. As for someone who was not a shipper, this episode may have come completely out of left field, especially if they weren't involved in much online fandom. The addition of a fake joke fact, or what is now widely claimed to be a joke fact in the Avatar extras of Book 1, claiming that Zuko and Katara were originally endgame, did not help. At this point, it is hard to tell what was meant to happen. There have been confusing rumors for years, and also oft-times to try and perpetuate the idea that their ship was the true ship. For example, for years there are rumors that there was meant to be a true Book 4, only for that to be debunked by both Ahaz and Bryke years later. But some wonder if any of their statements can be fully trusted, as incidents such as the one we discussed can foster an atmosphere of contention, which can lead to certain fans not taking the words of creators as gospel. What is clear is that Ahaz developed a better relationship with all the fandom, not just Katang shippers and non-shippers, as was the case with Bryke, who ended up alienating a large swath of their fan base. Ahaz managed to actually find the balance of talking with fans and being able to joke with them, largely because when he spoke of his feelings on characters, he didn't condescend to them, and put the onus onto creators rather than blame the fans, such as when he reportedly said that if Zuko and Katara had gotten together, 6-year-olds would cry, following it up with how Aang and Katara was more appropriate for a kids show. He may indeed have preferred Zutara. Other writers may have as well. There are fans who have spent hours scouring episodes to try and see who wrote what and who was responsible for what episodes, and trying to piece together who was responsible for which character arcs. Ahaz was responsible for Zuko's character arc for the most part, and as a result, some feel that he would naturally favor Zutara, as many feel that that would indeed have been Zuko's ultimate redemption. However, if Ahaz did indeed prefer this ship, he's not pushing that idea now. And at the end of the day, shows take the form they take, and sometimes it may be best to leave some questions unanswered, especially as this is still a hot topic, even for newcomers. Regardless of what Bryke believed, both ships clearly had moments and groundwork. If the Zutara moments were not meant as such, then the writer would have had to be supremely obtuse, which was clearly not the case, which does lend credence to the idea that maybe there was something there. Or potentially once the ship took off, Bryke's annoyance at fangirl culture pushed on an already budding preference for Katang, pulling it to the forefront. To this day, fans who watch the series for the first time with little awareness of fandom or all the buzz around it, which does still happen, will question whether Zutara was endgame. This is not one of those ships where fans can be accused of making up moments or watching with shipping goggles, although some will always accuse fans of the latter. Over the years, it has been leveled that this creative team could be petty and not take criticism, though this of course varied depending upon what type of fan one was and how active they were in certain elements of the fan community, particularly when it came to interactions. It must also be noted that even if this creative duo could at times be labeled as passive-aggressive, they did not cross the line into being outright vitriolic to the fans, and interacting with fandom, particularly such a passionate one, can often be a difficult experience. This was also in the early days of fandom, so creators in general were learning how to navigate these new interactions. There are many many instances that are now viewed as mocking through a modern lens, not just with the Avatar fandom, though certain fans, as mentioned, do believe that this duo did have an anti-fangirl slant. A fact highlighted for some by when Konietzko posted this comic, harshly mocking fangirls after critiques over The Legend of Korra in 2012, which did not have a universally beloved first season. For many fans, this is proof of feelings they believe this creative duo held all along, and they believe Zutara was withheld as punishment, a feeling which ignites Katang shippers, who feel that pairing's potential is often overlooked because of all this. Fans also note that the Avatar comic series, which is written by the duo, rarely has Zuko and Katara interact at all. Despite the fact that ship or not, the series established the two as becoming close friends, which for some leads them to believe that the other writers were responsible for that development, not Bright, leaning into the idea of writer strife, while others feel that this is a way to ensure that there is no more Zutara ship fodder to attempt to dissuade the undissuadable Zutara shippers, while others feel it is just the natural evolution of the stories that they want to tell. However, all of this is conjecture, and some feel everyone is reading far too much into this, and even if they are not, it is ultimately the creator's story to tell, and sometimes that can clash, not only with fans, but with members of staff. And at the end of the day, only one vision can prevail. Regardless of which ship was ultimately endgame, both ships live on in fandom, and both have some incredible works that have been produced for them. Some would argue that the fact that it wasn't endgame pushed Zutara to greater heights, because it forced fans to have to create very creative scenarios to try and get these two together. And of course, regardless of which ship was endgame, Avatar was still a very, very solid show and worth a watch. What is clear is that Book 4 Air caused much more harm than good, and will definitely go down as a moment in fandom history. What do you think of this incident? Were you aware of it? Do you think it was a joke, or do you think it was mean-spirited? And what do you think of all the rumors of writer strife? Also, a reminder, you can of course be a multi-shipper. It's fine to like Katang and Zutara. They both have strong cases you can make for them. The war can be over. We can all live together in harmony. A shipper's paradise. This was an interesting one to look back on, so thank you to everyone who voted for it. I appreciate all of you who took some time out of your day to spend it discussing fandom with me. It is always a good time. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. I will see you all again when I can, and until then, let's get to that outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.